lectures. And before I get into this very important topic, I just want to take a moment to thank everyone for supporting my channel. And with that being said, let's get on down to today's lecture. The focus of this lecture is process of what happens when your car is declared a total loss by your insurance companies. And throughout my journey, I've had my car total loss 2 times within my driving history. But most recently, my car was totaled August of this year, and everything has been settled. But I'm one of those type of people. I love doing informative lectures, giving useful information to the viewer. So the process that happens when your car is declared a total loss by your insurance company, by me being a veteran with USAA. And one of the things that's going to happen, that your insurance company, they're going to send you a letter, and it pretty much lays out the process. On that letter, it's going to have the claim number, the lot number, the date of the loss, the vehicle information with the VIN number, the mileage of the vehicle, and all of that. They address the letter to the owner of the car, and basically in the letter I got from USAA, it states that Copart is sending you this letter on behalf of USAA regarding your claim listed above. USAA has determined your vehicle to be a total loss. This means that USAA will not be repairing your vehicle, but rather will settle your claim based on the actual cash value of your vehicle. USAA has partnered with Copart Title Express to work with you on collecting the required documents to process the total loss proportion of your claim. It is important that this paperwork is returned timely, as the payment cannot be issued until we have received and processed the paperwork. What a total loss is in the letter, it kind of gives a little more description of that. A total loss is when a car is declared a total loss when it is neither practical nor economical to repair the vehicle. Most states regulate the definition of a total loss, either by a percentage of damage or by using the total loss formula, which is cost of repairs plus the salvage. Then they also calculate the actual cash value. In accordance with USAA policy language, a vehicle is considered a total loss whenever a USA approved appraisal source determines the vehicle to be impractical or non-economical to repair. In this letter that I got from USA in reference to my car that was total loss, to declare total loss, then it says your settlement. USAA has provided you with your settlements via USAA.com. And there was an area in my USA insurance portal where I had to go in and look at the settlement that they gave me in relation to my car being total loss. Then it gives you information on what's going to happen next. The information below will outline the requirements to quickly resolve your claim and expedite payments. Vehicle release. To ensure prompt resolution and payment for your vehicle, please follow these instructions. Remove all of your personal belongings from the vehicle. Leave your keys with the vehicle. If your vehicle is at a repair or tow facility, please call the facility to authorize release of the vehicle to Copart. USAA, I had to send get my vehicle to Gerber Collision in relation to this process. Also, in this letter from my insurance company, it says, enclosed, you will find a checklist outlining the documents your state requires, as well as instructional how to fill out those documents. Enclosed is a postage paid return label to return the required paperwork to Copart. The enclosed documents must be completed and returned to Copart Title Express. Once received by Copart Title Express, they will be reviewed to ensure they are compliant with the state title transferring requirements. Payment. When the properly executed paperwork in your vehicle is received, Copart will be able to send notification to USAA, that's who I have my car insurance with, so they can issue payment to conclude your total loss claim. You know, in this letter from USAA, it's pretty much giving me a description of everything that's going to occur in relation to my car being total loss and compensation. Also, it states if you are making payments to a finance company, USAA will pay them first. If there's money left after USAA pays your finance company, USAA will send this additional money to you. If there's not enough money to cover your loan, which my car is paid off, so that really didn't apply to me. If there's not enough money to cover your loan, you will be responsible for paying off the remaining balance. So in a different scenario, if an individual would have gotten their car total loss, but they were still owed money on it, and once the insurance company did everything they needed to do behind the scene in terms of compensation, because for a lot of people, even when the insurance kick in, because they owed so much on the car, there's a gap. In a scenario like that, you would still be responsible for paying the remaining balance of your car loan in the event if you did not own the car and had a clean title and etc. But in my case, my car is paid for. I don't believe in debt, people, and that's why I tell folks, you know, get your bills down, eliminate debt. You know, I hadn't had a mortgage, a car note, any kind of debt in years, and I'm going to keep it that way. So when my car was total loss and I got compensated from the insurance company, all I did was use that money. I had added a little bit more extra to it and got me another good used car, paid for it in cash, and still walked away with no car note. If you own your vehicle outright, this applied to me because I own my vehicle outright prior to it becoming total loss. If you own your vehicle outright, USAA will pay you directly. And they did it through electronic money hitting my account. And that's why I tell people, you know, I tell anybody, when you're living a minimalistic lifestyle, when you're wise with your money, strategic with your money, when things like this happen, you know, you're going to have so much money in your emergency savings account. It don't matter if I had great insurance, because even though I had great car insurance and it covered everything, I still had to add some of my money with the money that I got from the insurance company to be able to go to the Honda dealership and get me a nice used car in cash, people, without a problem, and walked away without a car note, because my goal is to keep my bills down to virtually zero, to include no car note, real talk. And when they talked about in this letter certain documents that they needed, meaning Copart Express working in behalf of USAA, one of those documents I had to do in order to resolve my case was, let me find this document. I had to do a power of attorney. Power of attorney meaning a document in order to sign my title over to my vehicle to Copart USAA. Because once your car is declared a total loss, you have to complete this power of attorney where Marie Holiday, the seller, is literally transferring my title to USAA. And that's one of the powerful documents that they have to have, this power of attorney and document. And I also had to send in my title reflecting no lien on that vehicle, real talk, before the insurance company release their compensation to me in relation to my total loss. So there, and that's another beauty, and I tell people, when things occur, I've known many people. I know people right now. I know many people who are driving a vehicle and they get into an accident. Their car is a total loss, and even if they had insurance on the car, the amount of money, because that insurance company is only going to compensate a certain amount for that vehicle. So the amount of money that the insurance company compensates you for your vehicle that was total loss, but if you still owed a whole lot of money on that vehicle, then you're going to still be responsible for paying the remaining balance on that vehicle to the car note people to satisfy that loan. They don't care if the car has been total. If you still owe money on that car after you got your compensation from the insurance company, you are still going to be responsible for paying that car note. And that's why I tell people, have no debt. Have no debt. Because when most people pay off a car, I'm going to tell you what they do. When most people pay their car off, they turn their behind around and they go trade that paid off car in and get a high-end expensive car and they know they can't damn it afford. And that's how you continue with that ongoing being a slavery to debt, real talk. I hadn't had a car note in probably about 15 or 16 years, real talk, people. And I'm going to keep it that way. So another document I had to get to Copart Express, in addition to this power of attorney, I also had to turn over my lease. Not my lease, turn over my car title to Copart Express before they released that information to my insurance company prior to the USA sending me my compensation in my bank account. So they're going to need that original title to the vehicle. It's saying in this letter, please locate and send in your unsigned vehicle title. It has to be unsigned. But that's where the power of attorney document comes into play. And this information is also submitted to Department of Revenue Motor Vehicle Division. So it's saying, please locate and send in your unsigned vehicle title. If you're still making car, you may not have possession of your title, and Copart Express will work with your lender directly. But in my case, because my car was paid off, I had access to my original title. If there is more than one owner of the vehicle, only a signed title is required from whichever party has it. But in my case, there was no other names on the title of my vehicle, so I was able to submit those documents to Copart Title Express in behalf of USAA. So, and I'm telling you, this just validates, when life happens, whether you live in a minimalistic life or not, when life happens, you're not functioning in crisis mode. Literally when my car got hit and was total loss, I'll be honest with you, I just was thankful to God that I wasn't hurt. I walked away scratch free. I had a sense of calmness all over me. I'm for real, people. Because a car can be replaced, money can be replaced, but your health or your livelihood cannot be replaced. Another important piece, and I tell people, when you are going through this process, when your car has been total loss, you have transferred ownership of the title to that vehicle, to the insurance company. You no longer own that vehicle. You transferred everything. You still have to physically go to Department of Motor Vehicle, because Department of Motor Vehicle is not the same as your insurance company. And you have to go in and let Department of Motor Vehicle, where they register your vehicle, and you have to let them know that you are no longer in possession of that vehicle. The car was total loss, and the title of that vehicle has been transferred over to the insurance company. And Department of Motor Vehicle, they will give you this powerful letter, because you don't want your name attached to that title. It don't matter if the insurance company is involved. No, you got to do this. And when you go to DMV to do this, they're going to give you a powerful documentation indicating that registration cancellation confirmation. So the minute I got this registration cancellation confirmation on a vehicle that I no longer owned anymore because I transferred the title to the insurance company. So when I went to DMV to get this registration or cancellation confirmation, this document reads, what is the purpose of this letter? This is an acknowledgement that the owner of the vehicle, 2011 Honda Insight, or acting owner of the vehicle, with the submission of a properly executed power of attorney, there we go, with a properly executed power of attorney, is canceling the registration for this vehicle. There is no mandatory liability insurance coverage for the vehicle because the vehicle is not being operated or the vehicle has been savaged by an insurance company or junk. It's critical that this step is done because when I went down to the Department of Motor Vehicle to alert them that that title has been transferred, the title of that vehicle has been transferred to the insurance company, the vehicle has been total loss. You know, the staff member, the representative at DMV, she literally told me that a lot of people who have had a vehicle total loss, they don't think to take their behinds down to the Department of Vehicle in person to alert them of registration cancellation because the vehicle title has been transferred. This document here that's dated September the 10th, 2025, this document is proof and evidence that I no longer own that vehicle. I no longer have the title of that vehicle. My name will not be attached to that title legally in any shape, form, or fashion. It don't matter with everything I had to go through with the insurance company, USAA. No, this is something you must do. This is a legal document that protects you, and that's with any transfer or title. That's with a transfer or title with any kind of vessel, a vehicle, a motorcycle, a mobile home, a boat. I don't care if you sell it and you sign over that title. You got to make sure you take your behind down to Department of Motor Vehicle to make sure you notify them that title has transferred to new ownership. Because people who don't do that, a lot of times your name's attached to something, and when registration renewal come up again because you hadn't gone down to DMV to legally get that done, so now you're getting a bill, a renewal registration of a bill in relation to a vehicle or a vessel or a motorcycle or a mobile home that you no longer own. Real talk, people. This is all about due diligence, handling your business, the process, versus going off hearsay. Every step along the way, I had Copart Express working in behalf of USAA involved, USA Insurance Company stakeholder involved, Department of Motor Vehicle involved, all of the collision company involved. Real talk, people. And this ain't all done over the phone. No, you got to physically go to DMV. You are physically a consultant with the collision car company and all these other various stakeholders. There's a certain amount that's done over the phone and through your portal, your insurance portal, but there's a big part where you got to be in person, front and center, to make sure your name is no longer attached to that title. And when all of that's said and done, at the very end, you should get another power letter or another document from your insurance company. At the very end, I got from USAA. Thank you for providing all the paperwork needed for Copart Title Express to process your title on USAA behalf. Everything needed has been received and approved. USAA has been informed that everything is ready and payment can be issued if applicable. And I did get compensation. It typically takes a day or two to receive payment on your total loss or an update from your insurance company. But please be patient as unforeseen delays can occur. If you have any questions regarding the settlement amount or other details, please contact USAA directly. So at the very end, you're going to get this letter saying everything has been processed and approved, and within 2 or 3 days, my compensation money had hit my bank account from USAA. And like I said, I used that money and I had to add some to it to go to the Honda dealership to get me a nice used car in cash and walked away with zero. Real talk, people. And at the very end, when you finally get this letter from your insurance company letting you know everything has been finalized, processed, approved, they got all the paperwork, the title's been transferred, your money hitting your account, so you no longer, your name is no longer attached to that car title, you no longer have that vehicle, it's been a total loss. Then at the very end, you have to call your insurance company once you get that powerful letter saying everything has been finalized. Do not make this last phone call until after you got this letter. And you're going to call your insurance company, and then they go through the process to remove the car off your insurance policy that was totaled. And they're going to add the insurance policy on the car, the new car, or either the used car that you purchased. And that's literally what I had to do. It's more like they're removing and adding, and they're updating that policy. That's critical you do that. And that is a phone call that has to be made. You can't go online and do this. No, there's a certain number you have to call where and then you get a representative on the phone. At least I know it's like this with USAA, where they go in now and they remove the car that has been totaled loss, because you transferred the title to USAA. They remove that car off your policy, and then they add on the new vehicle or either the used vehicle that you purchased, and they issue you a new policy so you can have insurance on the current vehicle. Real talk. And that's the process, people. And that is the process. This is all of the paperwork in relation to my vehicle that was lost, down to the detail, to include going to Department of Motor Vehicle to let them know that that vehicle has been lost, and to remove my name from the registration in relation to that car being transferred, title being transferred to the insurance company. So again, this is the process. And you'll be surprised how many people are not fully aware of the process and administrative piece and the legal piece behind the scene when your car is total loss. With my car that was total loss, you have to, towards the end, you got to make sure you remove all your personal effects out of that vehicle. You have to remove that tag that was associated to that car that was lost off that vehicle. Because remember, you're going to DMV, that title's been transferred. You no longer own that car. So that title that tag is no longer associated with that vehicle. When I got my new vehicle, aka used vehicle, that vehicle is going to have its own distinguished tag for that vehicle. And I'm so amazed when I talk to a lot of full-grown people who be trying to take shortcuts. And I literally spoke to a full-grown man, literally had the mindset, just because your car was total, all you got to do is take your tag off that car that was total loss and put it on a new car. And I looked at him. I said, you can't do that. That car that has been total loss, and that tag that was initially assigned to that vehicle that has been total loss, There's too many logistics behind the scene that you got to do with the Department of Motor Vehicle. They're entering this information into the database. And when you go to a dealership to get a new car, it don't matter if the car is used, that dealership is going to do their due diligence that ties into DMV and give you a temporary tag of fits to that vehicle that you purchase. It's not about just you on your own swapping out. No, it don't work like that. You're going to get your behind in a lot of trouble thinking you can just own your own accord. You are not DMV. It's a lot behind the scene that goes on in relation to registering a vehicle and getting a tag for a vehicle in relation to what I just explained, because with my car that was total loss in relation to that title and that tag, you're talking about insurance companies involved, you're talking about power of attorney, you're talking about DMV in relation to that vehicle, and you can get yourself in a world of trouble if you thinking you can inject yourself into that and just take the tag off one car and put it on another. No, it don't work like that. And that's why I tell people, you got to understand policy. You got to understand policies and procedures and processes when it comes to everyday life, especially when you're talking about a vehicle, your name attached to a title, your name attached to a registration, your driver's license, Department of Motor Vehicle. Everything ties in, people. And it just really interests me when I'm having full-grown conversations with people, and everyday people who are full-grown people who probably have owned multiple vehicles throughout their life and don't stop and think about processes and procedures that you have to do to protect yourself in relation to business. Even if you sell a vehicle, I've had vehicles that I've sold. Even when you sell a vehicle, I have the person who's interested in buying that vehicle from me. You are going to meet me at Department of Motor Vehicle so we can do this transaction on the spot, so everybody can sign where they need to sign, and I can see that transfer of title is taken care of at DMV, and that basically I'm going to know my name is no longer attached to that vehicle. Real talk, people, because I've heard of situations where people sell a car and they turn that title over to Joe Blow, who they sold it to, in their kitchen in the living room. Then Joe Blow walk away and then immediately go down to DMV to transfer that title. So in reality, your name is still associated with that title in the role of DMV until that happens. And that person go out and get into an accident, never went to DMV to transfer the title, and it's on you. That's on you. That vehicle is still attached to you, and you can be still held liable because you didn't handle your business on the front end. Real talk, people. This is real talk. And like I said, I just went through, and to me, it's a no-brainer. It really is. In terms of processes and procedure and handling your business in relation to the transfer of ownership, the transfer of title in relation to your business, in relation to your vehicle, especially if your car is total loss. Real talk. Or even if you sell a vehicle, that process still must occur. Transfer title, DMV got to be involved. You got to call company to let them know that you will no longer own this vehicle, to remove that vehicle from under your policy. All that has to be done behind the scene, people. Real talk. So again, share this information. Somebody might need to know about this information. Somebody might need to hear this information. And again, I just want to thank all of my supporters. I want to thank all of my subscribers. I'm really excited in relation to where God is going to take my channel in 2026. And I tell anybody, in terms of being a content creator, it is critical, and I'll say this again, it is critical that you really embrace that business model, because it is a business. And by evidence, at the end of the year, if your channel is monetized, YouTube is going to send you a 1099 to reflect your revenue for the entire year. It's a business. By evidence, you violate those community guidelines, YouTube will shut your behind down. So it's critical to embrace that business model. It's critical to have a balance, because there's a social media persona and there is a real life persona that should not be enmeshed and intertwined. My main purpose, everything I do when I come in front of these cameras ties into the mission, goals, and objective for my YouTube channel. I tell anyone, my channel is a little over, I think, 5 years old, going on 3 years being monetized. And I have really in the past, I would say 2 years, where my YouTube channel really has taken on a life of its own, people. I just basically now I'm just guided by the Spirit. I think I have well over 10,000 plus published videos, and I tell people, don't get caught up in regards to how many views a particular video may get, because you got to understand and wrap your mind around this. You're earning ad revenue, or you're earning exposure on your channel from your entire video catalog. Wrap your mind around that, from your entire video catalog. I have many of my popular videos in my video catalog, especially my popular videos that have gone viral to the point I don't even keep counting anymore. And I may sometimes get 25 views on a video or thousands of views on a video, but I don't get caught up in numbers, because my foundation as a content creator is already laid. And I say that to say, as a content creator, you're getting exposure. If your channel is monetized, you're getting ad revenue from your entire video catalog. I have well over 10,000 plus published videos. Some of my older videos, make a lot of money, versus my newer video. It all depends. But you're getting views, you're getting watch hours, you're getting ad revenue, you're earning money as a content creator from your entire video catalog. 10,000 plus videos within 5 years, that's a lot of work. And so I say that to say, you're earning exposure from your channel, from your entire video catalog. So don't get caught up on any one particular video. Just focus on the mission, goals, and objective of your channel. Just focus on the reason why you're doing what you do as a content creator, versus worrying about algorithm, views, and etc. Because it serves no purpose. Focus on what you can control. You can control on what you publish. You can control on whether or not you want to develop a strategic business plan for your YouTube channel. You can control all those things. Marie Holiday cannot control the algorithm, views. I can't control what amount of money I make each month from YouTube, but what I can control as a content creator in terms of what I do behind the scene to prepare for each lecture, I can make sure everything I do links to the mission, goals, and objective of my YouTube channel. Other than that, I debug and move on with the rest of my day, the rest of my week, because YouTube is just one speck of what I do in my world. Real talk, people, just one speck. And I tell anybody, it doesn't matter how much money you make or not make as a content creator. Whatever you make, you should view and I've said this before, you should view your revenue from YouTube just as another stream of income. That's it. You should not base your livelihood or paying your bills or your livelihood off the algorithm. You need to have a primary source of income. I'm retired military. I also retired from the state of North Carolina. So I get 2 retirement checks, not even when I get old enough, not even counting Social Security. I get 2 powerful pensions for the rest of my life, people. So the money I make from YouTube, I just consider that as another stream of income. But also, I've been in full retirement now for 2 years. I fully retired from state of North Carolina government, September 2023. And I tell anybody, the last 25 years of my working history, I simultaneously developed my company, develop and cultivate and nurture my company, Paris and Associates Resource Center. I still, generate a lot of money under my company, utilizing my license in addiction counselor. I'm a licensed addiction therapist. So I still generate a significant amount of money under my company, utilizing my credential. My company is well over 25 years old, been around long before YouTube. So I say that to say it is power when you have multiple streams of income versus just relying on one stream of income. That's how you build that generational wealth. So again, that's all I have in terms of the process that occurs when your car is declared a total loss by your insurance company. And the beauty of all of this is I still walked away without a car note, because I don't do car notes. I don't do bills in any shape, form, or fashion. That's all I have. Simplify, simple fidelis, and I'm going to leave you in the care of your own conscience. Have a great day.